That's DJ Quinn reporting. All right, let's examine this issue a bit deeper with Tal Majblevins, co-founder of IGN, an entertainment gaming website. Duran Parsi from Collegiate Star League, the CEO of that, and Mike Sepso, co-founder and president of Major League Gaming. Duran, I want to start with you here in the middle of us.
Right.
Why should schools offer scholarships for gaming?
I think that players are practicing a lot. The competition is incredibly high level, and we've seen over the last 5 years, the level of skill of players has been increasingly getting better and better, and we've seen some college players like Adrian Ma, for example, from Robert Morris go pro. And I think as this develops, we're going to start to see that a lot more. And it's a really good marketing tool. I mean, as you've seen, for example, Robert Morris has gotten huge exposure from doing this. And I think it's a really good tool, especially with the amount of people who are now playing games. 27 million people play League of Legends, and that's just one of a ton of different games that are out there. So it's something that I think schools really need to start paying more attention to, and I think we're seeing that happen.
Yeah, and this Robert Morris campus certainly has distinguished itself from the other Robert Morris, the Division I school in Pennsylvania that knocked off Kentucky in the NIT a couple of years ago. Tal,
Yep.
how would you justify offering athletic scholarships for gamers?
Well, I think, just like we heard in the piece, it is competitive, it is very skill-based, and, it really hits this age group. You lose your reflexes over time. You do have, just like in traditional sports, people who are in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s can't play these games as good as people who are in their teens or in their 20s, simply because it does rely on very fast reflexes. Now, a lot of mental skill, too, in these games, and a lot of team strategy. So in a lot of ways, besides the running up and down a field or running up and down a court, it's a lot like a sport. It's a competitive, skill-based activity.
How much research has been done on whether or not someone in their 40s can be as competitive as a teenager playing a video game?
Yeah, well, we're certainly seeing some of that now. Like, our professional gamers are getting older. People like Fatality, who have been in it, for 10, 15 years, they're still actually competing pretty well, but he's getting lower and lower in the ranks every single year as these, 17, 18, 19-year-olds come up. Especially and the games change too, right? These mobile online battle arenas, these MOBAs, are kind of a new kind of genre that we've seen, as opposed to the big competitive eSports used to be shooting games in the past.
Mike, a year ago you were quoted as saying in 5 years, MLG will be somewhere between Major League Baseball and NASCAR, and in 10 years between the NFL and the NBA. How so?
Well, I think if you look at the numbers, obviously, we're in the sports and entertainment world, so it pays to make big statements like that. But I think if you look at the audience size...
Well, wait a minute. Was it just a big statement, Mike, is that just a big statement, or are there facts behind that?
No, I think there's some validity to it. I think there's some validity to, if you look at our growth, if you look at the growth of the sport overall globally, again, 27 million playing League of Legends every day. That's a huge number, and that's just one of the games that's big in esports. You look at the numbers of people buying games like Call of Duty, one of our biggest games in Major League Gaming. It's just a huge number, and it's very generational. I think, like Tal said, we're talking about something that's taking up a tremendous amount of media time away from other traditional sports, from other forms of entertainment, among a sliver of the demographic group that's voracious for it. So I think, our growth and the growth of esports in general is just astounding. I think everybody, even inside the business, is astounded with how fast it's grown just in the past couple of years.
Well,
the other thing adding to that is that,
Go ahead, Tal. Go ahead, Tal.
Well, I just want to say, too, I think it's something that we've seen in other countries like Korea, where they filled up stadiums for, 10, 12 years already with esports. And now they're finally coming to North America and getting big, huge growth over the past 2, 3, 4 years in North America. So this is a global phenomenon. It's something that we're actually a little bit late on, but now really catching up very fast.
Duran, for those that maybe didn't realize this, if you watch that piece, you might be shocked to see a packed NBA arena for a gaming event. How has that evolved?
It's something that, 5 years ago, that was sort of the dream. This is actually why we founded the Collegiate Star League. We're all fans of StarCraft, which is played professionally in Korea, and they've been filling stadiums for almost a decade now. And that's something that we wanted to bring over here. And, 2 years ago with the League of Legends Championships, we saw that happen. And it's literally been an incredible experience. And I think really our hope is that now that it's happened in a professional setting, we can help make that happen in the collegiate setting too.
Mike, how would you define this as a sport?
I don't think we'd even be having this debate if it wasn't the athletic part of it, right? Obviously, these guys are not running, they're not hitting each other. There's a lot of things. That's what the debate is. This is not purely an athletic activity, but I would argue that, is NASCAR super athletic? Is golf? I think Adrian's probably not a great physical athlete, but I don't know that John Daly is either. So I think if you take a step back and say, is this a sport? Well, it's competitive. There's rules. There's leagues. There's a huge skill gap between a guy like Adrian and a regular casual League of Legends player, and that's the same thing across all the games that are big in esports. So there's a lot of validity to the statement that this is a sport and it's growing and it's getting bigger. We at MLG brought it to the X Games for the first time in Austin this past summer. And it met with some of the same kind of hesitation and pushback from the traditional action sports athletes there at the X Games who thought, hey, we're doing something super physical. There's a lot of danger involved, and these guys are just playing video games. I think, we're really only debating about the athletic part. Otherwise, it's a sport. And I think the audience says it is, the dedication of the players, the amount of work that they're putting into it. And frankly, there's a lot of fans of MLG and other esports from the traditional sports world. And I think athletes in the traditional sports world are starting to respect the level of dedication and the level of skill that these guys have over everybody else.
Tal, I'm going to give you the final word here in about 20 seconds. If it doesn't come from the athletic department or the athletic scholarship, where should the scholarship come from at the university?
Well, I think you also have some tie-in with perhaps computer science, but honestly, I think it should come from the athletic side. My opinion is that these are sports. They do require a lot of skill, and it is competitive. So just taking out the cardiovascular part of it, it's totally a sport. Kind of like, we saw a big rise in poker and the competitiveness of poker a few years ago. We're seeing the same thing in esports right now.
Tal Blevins, Duran Parsi, Mike Sepso, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.